Alright, for today's video review, we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Studio Series Voyager class Bumblebee movie Soundwave. I moved apartments, so you might see a different kind of recording setup over the next few videos. Still trying to figure out exactly what the best space is. But this is a figure that I've been pretty excited about for a while. I really like a lot of the Bumblebee movie designs. I feel like they hit really like the perfect sort of range between like realistic and then cartoon accurate. Much better, I think, than all the Bayverse designs that are just like a bunch of knives. These ones just like actually look like the original characters. And here you have Soundwave in his thing mode, his Cybertronian vehicle of sorts, and it's kind of strange. It's supposed to be kind of like a weird like hover thing, and it's using his his knee spikes as like little grabby claws, which is not totally unprecedented. I remember the Fall of Cybertron and War for Cybertron game design had like those like tusks or whatever. So like, whatever. It does look a little bit like the dude is just folded up. What's really weird is that this top window here is not actually the chest in robot mode. So it's like doing a bit of cheating, which is really strange. Like that's just a really weird choice because like he didn't have a vehicle mode in the movie. So the toy designers really could make up whatever kind of vehicle they wanted to. So why is it necessary to have it cheat? I don't really understand that. Because I've never been a big proponent of cheating in other figures, but like I sort of get it when you have like an A to a B that you have to, find some way to get between. But this one, they only had the A. Like the B could be whatever. So it doesn't really feel like that was necessary. Whatever. The one thing that is nice about it, at least, is that like for the transformation, you do actually like take this piece and flip it around and rotate this piece around. So if you don't want there to be cheating, you can just close it up and do it like that. And I kind of prefer that, honestly. Like it makes this little piece kind of look like the cockpit or whatever, as opposed to like the chest window sort of being the cockpit. I mean, this little piece is there either way, but it's a little bit overshadowed when it's got this going on. I don't know. It's just a preference thing. This is the way it's supposed to be, but I kind of like it the other way because it null and voids the cheating. Otherwise, yeah, it's a weird little hover mode, but like the robot mode is really the thing that you came here for. And I prefer this to him turning into like a barely not Earth boombox or, cassette player or whatever. So, I don't know. It's kind of a cool concept. I think it could have been done a little bit cleaner, like a little bit less gappy. If you look at it from underneath, you can really clearly tell that it's just him folded up like that, just like hiding his face with these with these little panels here. But that's okay. He does come with his two weapons here. Now, this weapon, yeah, I guess he must have had this in the movie or something like that, but otherwise it's just kind of like a generic gun. I really wish that he came with like the other battery gun, the one that has like the little extended bit. Instead, we just get the shoulder one and then this kind of generic gun, which I don't like it as much, but it is what it is, I guess. For storage, how you're supposed to do it is just plug them onto the side of what will be his arms here. I can get it. It's a pretty tight connection. So, they just kind of hang out to the side. And again, I think this would have looked better if it was the other battery gun, because then it would have been a bit more symmetrical. But, it looks okay. He also does have like a few, oh, that's new. Just took off the one of the panels for his arm transformation. He does also have like some screw holes here from the back end of the legs, and they are the right size, so you could plug them there if you really wanted to. Covers up the screw holes. I think that looks a little bit better. And then what I really prefer doing, oh yeah, he's got these other screw holes here too, but like they're too deep in that like you can't really plug them into that. But what I prefer doing is if you have it configured the way that I had it, like that, so it doesn't have the fake chest window, he does actually have two extra ports here, and so you can plug them on top like that. So then it's a bit more of like a, like a hover tank kind of. I mean, it's not really a traditional turret or whatever, but it does make them a more of like a defined feature in the vehicle mode rather than, just being kind of pegged on haphazardly to the side. Again, I'd prefer it if they were symmetrical, but I like that look. But either way, this is really how you're supposed to do it, so I'll leave them on there for now. And flip out the fake chest window again, just for the sake of the review, even though I don't like that. Man, this side is really tight. Flip it around just like that to get into some comparisons. First off, here he is with the Netflix Soundwave. Obviously, this one actually turns into a proper cassette player, and this one turns into just a thing that is roughly squarish, so whatever. But here he is with the Kingdom Core Class Soundwave. For standard size comparison, here he is with Kingdom Sideswipe. Here he is with the recent Bumblebee movie Shockwave. Obviously, they don't scale with each other. He must be mistransformed or something because he's not totally sitting flat. But they obviously don't scale well with each other because this is like the core class version, and they'll probably do a Voyager version of him eventually so they can actually be roughly the same size like they ought to be. But for now, that's what they look like. And then here he is with the little cube mode for Ravage. You can store Ravage in him in this mode. The button is still accessible, and you can fit him in there. I'm not going to bother to do it now. Just going to want to show it off in robot mode, but he does fit in there, so you could just keep Ravage stored in him at all times. But yeah, to get onto transformation, first off, let's take the weapons off for now and put them off to the side. Like I've showed off a few times now, first thing you want to do is take this panel here, and it rotates around 180 degrees, and then this panel also rotates around 180 degrees. Close it back up, and then for this panel, it's on a little double hinge here. You just want to fold it onto the back like that. Then you want to take these sections, which will be the feet, and just fold them up like this. Just untab them from the arms. Untab these sections right here from the, what I guess is kind of around the thighs. And then you kind of want to do this one at a time because it's one of those ones where it's like you have to kind of move these panels out of the way so that you can unfold the leg, and you can't really do that simultaneously on both sides, but then you just want to rotate the leg so it's forward like that. Take this little panel, fold it into this one, and then fold that one onto the back of the leg there. Then you can rotate down the feet and just rotate it forward like that, and then just do that on both sides. Get his legs in order. And that's like honestly most of the the transformation. Like now he's just kind of doing a weird backwards yoga pose, but just want to adjust here so you can see him in frame. And then you want to take these sections, which are going to be the arms, just fold them up like that. You want to fold them forward, then bring these whole sections down like that, and then these sections are going to be the shoulder pads. They've just got these two panels that you want to rotate in like that, and you can rotate down the arm just like that, rotate it so it's facing forward, open up these back panels. That was the panel that I popped off before, and then rotate out the hands. And then last but not least, you just want to rotate around the head. And there you have Soundwave in his robot mode. And yeah, he looks really nice. Obviously, you can complete the look by giving this little shoulder launcher. He doesn't actually have a peg up here for it to plug into. How this works is this little extra section on here just rotates down, and then this peg will go into those holes that I showed off before. So it kind of sits behind his back on a little armature like that. Which, it means that it can't like rotate side to the side. It can only really angle up and then also like tilt like that a little bit for whatever that's worth. So, not the greatest execution, but it works well enough, I think. And then obviously you can give him his other gun here, hold in his hand just like that. Or if you want to store it, you've got that other peg hole on the back, and that works pretty well. Like that there's, it's not technically dedicated storage in both modes because you do sort of just peg them onto the side of the vehicle in alt mode. But with Cybertronian modes, that doesn't really bother me just because like it already does not have a disguise function. And so, you know, having weapons pegged onto the side of it is fine. Whereas with Earth vehicles, that always drives me absolutely nuts. And then obviously we can take on Ravage here, and you just want to press this button and flip it open like that, so you can insert Ravage into the chest. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. If you're finding these not fitting in there, just take Ravage and like give them a bit of a squeeze, and it works a bit better. It's a pretty tight fit, but he fits in there pretty well. And then what's nice is because like you really can't get a grip on him to pull him out, but because it has that extra, you know, bit of transformation, you can open up this panel and just push him out from the back, and that works pretty well. In terms of articulation, the head is on a ball joint, so you get some nice range of movement there. I like his head sculpt. It's very accurate to the movie. It's got some, you know, different design things from what we typically see with Soundwave. Like he's got that like blue section in the middle. One thing I think is really funny about this design is that like his visor just looks like really sad. Like he's got a Soundwave with sad eyes. A little bit adorable, but you know, still looks pretty cool overall, and some nice painted detail on the side there as well. But yes, head on a ball joint. The shoulders, they can rotate up like this. I kind of wish that there was an extra joint, because like I'm always wanting it to like rotate like within the shoulder rather than just up like this. It's just kind of that like shrug rotation where when you flip it up, the shoulder is way out to the side rather than being able to rotate the arm in this shoulder. I don't know. It's not the end of the world, but just worth mentioning. And then obviously it can rotate around 360 degrees. You get a bit of like movement back and forth within the shoulder pad just due to transformation. It doesn't really help a whole lot though, but he does have a bicep swivel, a double hinged elbow. You can't really get him in the pose where he's like getting his hand on the button. That's about as close as it goes. And even that is like, you know, kind of undoing the shoulder pad a little bit. So, you know, that's one kind of classic Soundwave pose that you can't get him in, but whatever. And then no wrist articulation, and you know, they can tilt back a little bit, but only if you open up that panel. So no real hand articulation. He does have a waist cut, but his sort of like cod piece here is on a hinge, and that's attached to the upper half of his body, whereas his waist is obviously the lower half. So if you have this down, it kind of bumps in the way. So like, if you want this to look like good, you only really get from like there to there, which is enough for some subtlety, but not really enough to, you know, really write home about. The hips can go out to the side about that far, forward, and then obviously push that out of the way, which is, I don't think looks particularly good, but whatever. And then back like that. He's got a thigh swivel. Got a double jointed elbow that really only gets him a little bit past 90, and then you can kind of bring his knee joint up to kind of, you know, make it look like it's got like several, I don't know, it's kind of like a Gundam style knee, except without the like sort of automatic movement. You have to move it yourself, but still, I think that's pretty cool. And then the ankles can tilt forward just a little bit, back a lot, and then tilt out to the side. So he's got pretty good foot articulation. Then obviously what I showed off with the shoulder launcher before. So, you know, decent articulation. There's just like a few spots where I wish it like moved a little bit more. Like I wish that this was attached to the bottom section of the waist so it could just rotate with the waist, and I wish that the shoulders could rotate up on this axis rather than the axis where it attaches to the body. But otherwise, pretty standard and pretty decent, all things considered. For size comparisons, here he is again with Kingdom Sideswipe, just for that standard size comparison. Here he is again with the Studio Series Core Class Shockwave. Obviously, very out of scale there, but cool to see those designs together nonetheless. Here he is with the Core Class Kingdom Soundwave. The Netflix Soundwave, a little bit taller than him, but, you know, definitely more comparable. Cool to see the G1 design with the movie design. And then last but not least, here he is with Studio Series Ravage from the Bumblebee movie. And yeah, I think they look pretty good together. I mean, you know, we only really saw the one shot where Ravage comes out of his chest, so like obviously it scales well with that. When Ravage goes and like starts biting at Prime, I think that he movie magic and got a little bit bigger to make him seem like more of a threat because he's really pretty tiny while scaled with them correctly. But I think that's a pretty good scale. Now, the last thing to talk about with this guy is this little extra piece that came with Studio Series Ravage. And what this piece was really meant for is if you take his shoulder cannon here and you put it back like that, so it's got the handle on this side, and you plug it in there, it kind of gives him his other battery gun, which is it's a pretty cool look. But what really sucks is that like you only get to use one of them because it's just an add-on to the shoulder launcher. But then if you have him hold his other battery gun, then he doesn't have the shoulder one. And really, I feel like both are kind of like necessary parts of Soundwave's whole sort of like look. So man, I really wish that they had. I'm not entirely sure why they did it this way. Like, I wish that they had done it a bit differently. Like, either not given him this gun at all and just given him two of these, so that when you get Ravage, one of them could be the battery gun. Or since Ravage is a really small core class figure, and this does not really make up for that price, like in comparison to the size of an average size core class figure. I wish maybe they just give him a whole extra gun rather than just the tip to like, make it an extra one. I don't know. I get why they didn't do that because like there's obviously no blue plastic in this tooling, so it would have had to be like all painted or whatever. But however they could have done it, I just wish that we could have both of his battery guns rather than either one or the other. Just because like it's cool to like plug this in there and give him the other battery gun. But I really do feel like the shoulder cannon is like an absolutely essential part of Soundwave's look. Like it just looks wrong with him not having it there. So I can live with him without having the other one, but this one's got to stay. So that kind of just makes this piece useless in the end. But I don't know. It just kind of feels like a missed opportunity. But either way, he is a pretty cool figure. The joints all feel pretty good. The hands are maybe like a little bit wimpy and small. I don't know. They seem like a little bit weirdly thin, I guess just because of, how they had to fit into the forearms. But otherwise, I think it looks pretty good. I think like in terms of articulation and robot mode, the only one thing I'm really, really missing is I wish the shoulders kind of moved out a little bit. And then sometimes when you're touching the shoulders, it's easy to kind of flip these panels up by accident. Again, not the end of the world, just worth mentioning. And then the vehicle mode is, it's okay. I get what they were going for, but it is definitely a little bit strange. But I do like that it's not, doesn't have to have the completely unnecessary cheating, that there is some way to make it just like a different abstract vehicle mode. Because, I'm pretty forgiving with the abstract Cybertronian modes. It has some cool stuff going on with it. I just wish it were a little bit more polished. It does kind of feel like an afterthought. But at the end of the day, this is really the mode that you buy the guy for, so it kind of was an afterthought. But yeah, that's all there pretty much is to say about him. If you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. I do reviews every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And without further ado, here we have Transformers Voyager class Studio Series Bumblebee movie Soundwave.